At this point, this thing has just fully become my rolling storage unit. As I'm not driving it on the road, I have just been putting all the parts from Vlogmas in the back. We got the whole suspension from the Mark IV, the wheels off the Mark IV, we've got parts from the Mark V, the helper springs from the Mark IV, the ruckus seat, all the stuff that can sit outside. This has just been going in the back of this thing because I don't have anywhere else to really put it in here until I get a chance to take it where it needs to go. It's living in the truck. But either way, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video and welcome to Vlogmas Day 11. As you can see here, we've got my rolling storage unit, otherwise known as my 1.8 turbo swapped Mark I Rabbit pickup. Now, we are going to be doing a modification to this thing today that I actually don't really know exactly how much power it's going to increase or what it's going to do, but it is a power mod. It also does look kind of cool, but without speaking too much more about it, we're just going to go ahead and get the package here and open it up. So it is this one right here. Go ahead and set it down here. Get it opened up. Like I said, I've never actually installed one of these on cars before. They are kind of common to do, especially on Mark IVs, but show you guys what we got. So we have some lightweight and I believe underdrive pulleys for the truck. Now obviously I didn't buy these new, as the red paint you can see on here. I tried so hard to get all this red paint off. It's soaked in like brake clean. I literally had this in like a bath of brake fluid for like an entire week, hoping that it would get that paint to come off. But I don't know, I'm probably gonna have to try like paint thinner or something at this point, because I thought, because brake fluid, by my experience, has really eaten away at paint. If you let something sit in it for a week, I thought it would be okay, but apparently not. So either way, it looks mostly silver, so that's good. And then obviously we have the alternator pulley as well. So we are going to be installing these on the Rabbit truck today. Now that will be kind of cool because you will be able to see the pulley there, the pulley down on the bottom, not so much, but you will be able to see the alternator pulley, so that'll be kind of cool to go with all the rest of the shininess that we have under the hood here. So pretty sure we're gonna have to jack this thing up because to be able to access the bolts, I can turn the wheel and kind of do it, but you guys aren't gonna be able to see, so we're just gonna jack it up, pull the wheel off, and then get started on the lower crank pulley. I'm also really hoping that my belt is the correct size because I think this pulley is slightly smaller. I'm hoping that the tensioner can kind of compensate for it, but if it can't, we may have to come up with another belt at some point. I don't know where else. I don't think I have very many belts here. I have a couple of spare ones, but they may not be short enough for what we need. So we're probably gonna have to get a belt for something. I don't even know what, but hopefully it works out, because right now I have an 07K belt on it, which that has been working well, but I don't know what's going to happen once we go ahead and put this on. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jack this thing up and get started on this install. All right, now while we have the wheel off here, I did want to show you guys, obviously, as I mentioned previously, I have the SolarWorks coilovers, obviously, as you can see here on my truck. Now, I also have the helper spring removed on this one, just like we had to do on the Mark IV when we installed the coilovers on that a couple of days ago. So obviously, we just removed that helper spring, had to spin the collar up quite a bit, and now we are sitting where we want to be for this thing, so I figured I'd just show you guys that, because I know I mentioned it in the video, and then we actually had to do it, so I figured I'd show you on this too. But either way, here we have our lower crank pulley that we're going to have to remove. So it's going to be 4 6mm Allens that typically strip out. So I'm really, really hoping that these ones don't. Now, I did just have this off somewhat recently, but once again, it was not that recent. I put this motor in over the summer, so long enough that they could be a little bit stuck. Now, one other thing too, as you guys can see here, if you know anything about rabbits, this is about as clean as it's going to get. Now, there is, no rot on this thing at all. And that's because this front was replaced and everything like that. So when I'm ridiculous about not driving this thing in the winter, that is why, because the front end of this thing has had a ton of work done to it to make it not rotten. And I have seen what happens to rabbits when you drive them in the winter. My dad did it one year with his gray truck, and looking underneath that thing, it's true. Like, if you drive it in the salt and you drive it in the wintertime, it is going to rot out and it's going to fall apart. So that's why I will not drive this thing in the salt, because I just care too much about having this thing continue on, and I don't really want to kill it by driving it one winter, driving it in the salt, letting it get packed with salt, rot out, and just ultimately delaminate itself, which is what it's going to do. So we don't want that to happen. So when I'm ridiculous about it, it's because this thing is super clean, and it wasn't super clean. It is now from a lot of work, and I don't really want to have to do all that work again. All right, so got the baby impact here with the 6mm Allen on, a little weeble wobble here, so hopefully we can get all 4 of these out without stripping them. Well, they're pretty tight, obviously. Okay. Not off to a great start. Or try this again. That's ridiculous. Okay, I found the issue. That battery was dead. I was gonna say I didn't think these were that tight, but that battery was, well, as you guys can see here, it's dead. So that explains why I couldn't get that out. A little bit gets stuck in here sometimes, but yeah, that's much more normal. I was gonna say I didn't think that well, that one's stripped, but I didn't think that I tightened that hard. Okay, so we only had one strip out. Honestly, that is better than I was expecting. So I guess now this is going to be an informational about how to fix when you strip out your crank bolt. It's actually a pretty simple fix. You just get an 8mm triple square. You go ahead, pound that sucker on there. Try that again. Okay, that one is actually really tight. There we go. And once again, now I have used this adapter that I bought on episode 1 of Vlogmas. I complained about how expensive it was. I've used this on almost every single video, so this thing was definitely a great investment. Now the next thing we have to remove is the alternator pulley. Now of course I sabotaged myself, and this alternator has a one-way pulley on it, and some of them have that, some of them don't, and the one-way pulley is kind of a pain in the butt, so we're gonna have to get that removed off. This is the style that I'd like to have on it. That's the one with the nut and the bolt, and the one that we have here, of course, is the style that is a pain with the one-way pulley. So we have a special puller here to remove that. So that is right here. It's this Lyle tool that I borrowed from my dad. So you have this thing here, and you take this, and then you stick it into the threads down in there. I don't know if you guys can really see that well, but well, at least you should. I know this works because I checked it before this video, so that's just making me look stupid. Okay, there we go. So that sticks into there, and then you take triple square 10mm, and then put that inside there. Of course, this is going to be a pain because it's a rabbit and it's getting into there. Now, I'm thinking maybe if we jack this thing up a little bit, get the motor to elevate up a little bit. Oh, perfect. That's just what we need. So, now, basically, the way this thing works, I'm pretty sure... Oh, no. Much larger. Need this thing. Alright, so I got it off. That was absolutely miserable. Also, you may notice that we got the painter's tape bandage. I absolutely buried my hand into this rib here, like, really hard. And, I didn't wait for it to start, you know, making the red stuff come out of my hand. I just put the tape on it beforehand. So I figured it, you know, it's like preventative maintenance. I don't know how bad it is, but now it's covered up, so it doesn't exist. It doesn't really hurt, so it could be good or bad. But either way, we're moving forward because we're on a timeline here, so I don't have time for that. But basically now, all you have to do is take this and you're turning the, I'll show you guys once I have the pulley off, but you're basically turning the inside of the alternator. You're turning the shaft and holding the pulley with the vice grip. So as you turn it, you're pulling the thing out. I'll show you guys, like I said, I'll show you guys once I have it off here, which will be very soon. Alrighty, so the belt is now off, so now we should be able to pull this whole entire contraption off of here. If my calculations are correct. Pull this off, and then the whole entire thing should come right out. And now I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So, if you set this down here, basically the tool sits down in here. So this is like an inverted spline tool with a hole down the center of it. So the tool sits down here and it holds this whole entire collar. Well, then you take this with the 10mm triple square and you turn the splines on the alternator. So basically you're turning it to the point where you're tightening it in, but you're removing it out. So basically, if that makes sense, that's how you remove this pulley, and that is how we got it done. Now we have this, and what we're going to be putting back on here is much more simple than that contraption. So we come over here and grab our new pulley. Now, number one, this one, much lighter for sure than this one is very heavy. I don't know. You guys can probably hear how it sounds there compared to that. You had probably cringing at me scratching my paint, but it's okay. So it's for science. So this is way lighter. So now we go ahead, put that on here. No, that looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, that looks pretty cool. Now, you may notice also that this will now be using a nut instead of this whole entire contraption. Now, do you guys think that I thought ahead and got a nut for this thing? Absolutely not. But, fortunately, I have a motor that I'm going to certainly need this for, but we have this on here. So, we are going to do what any logical human would do, and we are going to take this off of here, put it into there, put the socket on here, and then going to take the piece off of the motor that is supposed to be going in my car in the next couple of days, because that's what we got to do. Now, we have this. Actually, there's probably a washer on there too, now that I think about it. Yes. Grab a magnet here. This is why you always have, like, you know, just parts around for the things that you own, because you may be doing modifications and need to steal things. And then now we have what we need. So we got this like lock washer here. As you can see, it's kind of bent, so you can put that on here, put that over the splines, and then go ahead and take a nut, thread it on there. And then we're going to actually tighten this once we put the belt on, and we're going to use the tension of the belt to hold the pulley in place so that we can tighten it down. Now, pulling this lower pulley off is pretty easy. You should just be able to work it off here. Once again, I had this off fairly recently, so it's not going to be too seized on, but there we go. Got it. You can see all this oil leak that I have under here that I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from, so that's going to be a winter project to deal with. But go ahead, grab our new lower pulley here, set that on, and just line the pins up here. And it's a little tight, so you can also see that this thing is definitely significantly smaller than the one that we have here. So there is a very likely chance that this bolt is not going to line up, or this belt is going to be too short. And I probably should have expected that going into this, but I didn't. So also, it seems like we're going to have to pull this thing onto here a little bit because, well, I'm not sure. But there we go. Now, got one more here. I'm gonna have to go find one for the fourth one because obviously we stripped that one out. All right, found one here. Go ahead and tighten that down. There we go. Now, got our lower pulley on. Now, the moment of truth is going to be finding out how much too long this belt is, because it's probably going to be pretty bad based on the amount of size that that lower pulley now no longer has. I'm anticipating that this is not going to work out too well, but we shall see. Oh yeah, way too short. Wow, that is going to be a short belt. I don't know where exactly I'm even going to come up with that, because I mean, this belt is already pretty short. I don't really know if we're going to find something that much shorter than that, but going to have to come up with something to make this work. All right, so my dad had a belt. I was really hopeful that it was going to work out. It is a, throwing the package around here. It is a 906 belt, and that is unfortunately still too long. So we are going to need to get a much shorter belt. I'm thinking probably like an 890 is going to do the trick, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. So maybe an 890, 880. I'm going to have to go to the parts store tomorrow. It's like 10:15, so I'm not going to be able to make that happen yet tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together and pull it outside. We're probably going to be finishing this video outside tomorrow because I have to pull the Tropic Orange car in here to start on a massive project. Now, this video will actually be filmed. I'm filming this on the 10th. This is going to be the video for the 11th, but that is because the video that we're going to be making with the Tropic Orange car is an absolutely massive project, probably way too big of an undertaking to even try to get done in 2 days, but I'm going to need 2 days to make that project happen. So I have to get this video done ahead of time, which means that tomorrow night we're going to be finishing this when I get back home from work, which is unfortunate. I was really hoping to get it done tonight, but hey, it is what it is. So I will get that belt tomorrow. We'll get that thrown on. But other than that, that is going to conclude the install. So I was able to actually tighten this pulley. So I just used the impact and tightened it up. So that's on there. And obviously the lower pulley is on there as well. So tomorrow I will get that belt. We'll throw that on there, and then that will fully conclude the install. But all in all, we are basically done. Just got to go ahead and throw a serpentine belt on. Super quick and easy. And obviously, we're not going to really be able to test the power this thing can make with the new setup because, once again, salt, weather, not where it's at. So I'm going to get that belt tomorrow. We'll get this wrapped up. But either way, that's going to be all for today. Alrighty. Got the belt on. Everything's looking good. Now we can't go out for a drive, so I'll give you guys some revs. That's the next best thing. Oh yeah. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be a wrap on this video. I hope that you all enjoyed and enjoyed those heavenly 1.8 turbo noises that you got there in the end. Those noises right there are the entire reason why I built that truck. When I'm driving it around, it just makes me smile every time. And those clips right there, they got the sound absolutely perfect. So either way, that's going to be a wrap on this video and the lightweight and underdrive pulley install. Now, I was able to find a belt. This was the one that I found. I actually found this at work. I went and bought 2 belts, and I found this one at work. This is a 5-rib BMW, so it's a rib short, which my other belt was actually a rib short too, so that's fine. It's not a problem. But this was, it says BMW 5-rib. It's a Continental 5K863. So that is what we ended up using, and that worked perfectly good. So that was what we needed, and I was really glad because, like I said, the 2 belts that I bought from the parts store both didn't work somehow, so I don't know what happened. But either way, we got that one, we got it back together, and we got it all working. So now that modification is done, but now I've got to get on to this car. We have a big thing to do in this car, the biggest thing of this whole entire project. You guys already know what it is, but I'm not going to tell you if you don't. So I'm going to get on that. This is going to take me a while, so I'm going to have to really hustle to make this video get out to you guys tomorrow, but we're going to do our best to make that happen. But either way, I hope that you all enjoyed, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.